Hello, I am Brittney Jones. Myself and my group are happy to present to you what we like to call the Big Apple, also known as Apple Inc. in 2012. Our agenda is as follows: executive summary, background, the direction of Apple, defining moments, SWOT analysis, problem definition, possible alternatives, overall strategy, short term and long term, and conclusion. After the tragic death of Steve Jobs in 2011, Tim Cook took over Apple as CEO. Faced with many challenges to stay number one and to keep their loyal customer base, Cook was offered the largest compensation package and the support of the executive board. With this, Cook is in a position to take Apple to new heights. Apple was labeled the world's largest company in 2012, and with the latest release of the 5C, 5S, and the iPad 5 Air release date set for Friday, November 1st, Apple has no plans of slowing down.
Hello, my name is Yatavia, and I'll be talking to you today about the background of Apple. If you may or may not have been aware, they began in 1976 by Steve Wozniak, Steve Jobs. We may or may not have heard about the names of Ron Wayne and the multimillionaire Mark Mercola, who helped kind of fund Apple to be incorporated in 1977. And it began in Steve Jobs' garage. One of the first products is the Apple I, then there was the Apple II, there was the Macintosh that came right behind that in around 1984. But of course, they weren't geared towards this new iLife suite industry with, all the iTunes and things of that nature. It started off strictly as a computer company. They had all the different regime changes between 1985 and 1997. And pretty much most of our generation knows Apple as being found, well, as the CEO with being Steve Jobs. And when they started revolutionizing the technology industry, starting with the iPod MP3 player. And they moved forward with the digital hub strategy with all their other different technological devices. And of course, now Steve Jobs has left Apple after being deceased. And now the regime change has changed the batons over to Tim Cook as of today. In looking at the direction for Apple, we're pretty much looking at the strategic plan, which consists of the vision, mission, and goals for the company. In looking at the vision, Apple just wants to provide tools to the world, and that's their contribution, in order to advance humankind. And judging by what Apple has previously done, they're going to stick in that technology industry. When you look at the goals, essentially, whatever market that Apple occupies, they want to be that market leader in terms of innovation, market share, things of that nature. Lastly, when you look at the mission statement that was released earlier this year, it's not a true mission statement by definition, but more or less it's simply a list of products that they offer and sort of a list of past accomplishments. There have been a couple of articles out there criticizing the mission statement, so we'll see if Tim Cook comes back to rectify that situation. If not later this year, later next year. In thinking about the defining moments for Apple Incorporated, there are about two that come to mind. First is the iPod when it was introduced in 2001, because it was the largest capacity MP3 player on the market, holding 1,000 songs, when the competitors were maybe doing like 100, couple hundred, but of course at a premium price. It was compatible with Windows and Macintosh products. But in 2003 is when things really took off because they introduced the iTunes software package, where you could not only get music, you could get books, TV shows, movies, and especially from the music perspective, it was the first legal site where you could download music and do it on a song by song basis instead of an entire album. And just in that iTunes release, there were like 1 million downloads in the first 3 days of that software because it was free. And there were over 1 million downloads of music in that same time period. But since the iTunes and iPod were partner products, iPod sales simply like quadrupled in that same year that iTunes software was released. So definitely a huge moment and breakthrough for Apple. In looking at the SWOT analysis for Apple Incorporated, we're going to start with the internal factors, so the strengths and the weaknesses. And looking at the strengths, one big thing I think we all know is that their portfolio for cash is just looking amazing. They definitely keep the money in the family. What I mean by that is when you buy the Apple iPod, you have to buy the iPod accessories. When you had the iPhone 4 and the 4S, when they came out with the 5 and the 5S, you had to buy all new accessories. But yet and still, all that money goes back to Apple. Definitely, they have they're trying to have internal control of some of their supply chain. Recall the instance where for the flash memory for the iPod, they pretty much put a lot of money into that and ended up buying one of their suppliers and bringing that in house. From the weaknesses standpoint, definitely the innovational decline that they've had since busting out into the market initially in the 21st century. And one of the big hits I think that all of us realize is the death of Steve Jobs and kind of now what the direction is going to be for Apple Incorporated moving forward. And switching gears and going to the external factors, when you talk about the opportunities and the weaknesses, one of the opportunities is that again, there's so many other markets that they can still tap into, and so we'll have to see, what the vision, what Tim Cook, is going to bring to the table with his reign right now. And patents and litigation, it's kind of the opportunity again for them to take hold of some of the intellectual property that's out there. And speaking on that one, that can also fall under a threat because all these patents being in litigation cost a lot of money. So this again could weigh opportunity and weakness side for Apple Incorporated. Another one of the threats is that again, because their innovational decline, their competitors are really brighten at their heels to take over that for runner spot in the market.